Hi, I'm Zoey Rachelle, and today I will be showing you my favorite poetry books. So, I am doing this in front of my window, so there may be road noise, and also my cat's currently staring at me, and so he will also probably make some noises. But, so, I write poetry, and so I love poetry books, So the first book I'm obviously going to show, mine, The Chaos Within by Zoey Rachelle. Like, obviously I love this book. And when I come out with like more books, I'm going to love them as well because, there's nothing like relating to every poem in the book, He's a little tail. I've literally wrote this book, and so I relate to every page. So, of course I'm going to like the book. Of course it's going to be one of my favorites. And so the first book is The Chaos Within by Zoey Rachelle on Amazon. And then the next books I'm going to get into is Whitney Hanson's books. Mr. Sir's right here. Wait. Is Whitney Hanson's books. Right now I only have 2 out of the 3. So like, if you don't know, like, Whitney Hanson's a poet. She's, on social media. Her first book is titled Home. I have her book Home. I just don't have it with me right this second. I think like someone's borrowing it from me or whatever, and they're currently have it. But her second book is Climate, and her third book is Harmony, and her poetry is amazing. I love it so much. And I actually want to read some of her poetry. I have like whenever I read like her first and second book, I didn't tab anything. However, whenever I read her third book, I tabbed a lot, which is like looking bad right now, but I tabbed a lot, and so I am going to go through some of those tabs. I probably shouldn't put my knee up. I want to go through some of those tabs because like I haven't looked back, like I haven't reread any of the poetry books that I've read, so I think I might actually do that sometime soon. But also, while I'm looking through these poems on which one to read, I just want to tell you, like, my thumbnail broke right before I started this video. Literally putting on these jeans, my thumbnail broke. So, the lighting, man. I think my cat wants to go outside. Just a second. Okay. My cat's been taken outside, so I don't think he'll be in the video anymore. My neighbor just got home. But yeah. Okay, I just found this poem that I'm going through the ones that I've like tabbed, and this one, it says, in the half-awake hours when everything becomes a bit stiller. No. I swear, like, my brain has a habit of like reading, like mixing up the letters and like reading the words wrong, or it like invents words. It's like, oh, this word should be put there, and so all of a sudden I'm saying the wrong things whenever I read poetry, and it's such a struggle. But in the half-awake hours when everything becomes a bit sillier and secrets become a bit easier to tell, we stay awake giggling until the sun begins to rise. We sneak out barefoot into the grass to meet the starry night. It is during these hours that I know what it means to feel alive. And that poem is like, it's like nostalgic and heartbreaking and at the same time, like, because that's basically like, to me at least, it's describing, like sleepovers with your friends when you were like younger or whatever. And it's like, LOL. It's kind of sad, to be honest. Like, kids are so like generally kids are very, you know, like as kids we're more like optimistic and we're more like happy and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, of course we still had struggles, you know, like everyone has struggles, but it was so like, I don't know the word for it. It was so like hopeful, you know, we saw things like through a more colored lens, I guess. Oh, and then another one is you drew all the curtains and closed all the blinds. You crawled in bed and turned off the lights. You forgot what it was like out there with the sun. You didn't want to feel light when inside you there was none. That's so depressingly beautiful though. Like this poem, like that poem is very much like I saw something, it was like taking blood and turning it into roses. Like, oh my goodness, that's that poem right there. But there's one poem in this book, in her book Harmony, and it's about Peter Pan, and it's like, I love how she did this. Like, I really want to like add this concept to one of my books that I make, because she did a poem and it was like in the middle of her book talking about Peter Pan, and then her very last page was referencing that poem in such a beautiful way, and I'm gonna find it because I loved it so much. Like, I admired the creativity that came into it. Oh my god, her poetry. I'm looking through these and her poetry is amazing. Oh my god. Literally, if I could recommend any book, I would recommend one of Whitney Hanson's, because her poetry is just like, it's so real and honest, and it's amazing. Okay, here it is. So this is on, it's like it is in the middle, you know, like it's in the middle, and it says, "Dear Peter Pan, I'm not sure I believe in Neverland anymore, but sometimes late at night I open my window and I'm certain that if I jumped I could fly away." That, I love that poem so much. And then the very last page, the last poem in this book, it says, "Dear Peter Pan, I think I'm okay right where I am." And it's so sad. It's so depressingly happy. Like, Whitney Hanson is honestly the reason that I became a poet. Not like, I discovered poetry, you know, like obviously, like, you know, kids know what poetry is, or most kids, I guess, and so I discovered poetry and I liked it, you know, I enjoyed reading it, I enjoyed, like, especially, like, the Pinterest poetry, you know, like, Pinterest girlies will know, like, I love the Pinterest poetry, and I would read it, and I don't know why I'm saying "and" that one thing I need to work on is not repeating my words constantly. Like, someone for real needs to count how many times I say per video, because it gets so bad. But anyways, back to what I was saying. I liked poetry, and then I discovered Whitney Hanson, and I read her book Home, and then I'm pretty sure I got her book Home like pretty early on, and then I got Climate and Harmony as they were released, and I guess, like, I know that she is from, like, I'm pretty sure she had a podcast out. I think it's like down now, but it talked about kind of like her backstory, I guess you could say, and it said that she was from a small town, you know, she just started posting, she published her book or whatever, and then she started posting her poems on social media, like TikTok and stuff. And oh my goodness, I admired her so much. And like that was literally like my dream. Like, when I was younger, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to like write books, but I didn't think that it was like realistic, you know, because, you know, it's like an author or writer or whatever is one of those that's like, as a kid, it seems like unreachable. And then whenever you get older, you think, and you're like, well, you know, it's not, is it really realistic, you know, is this gonna pay my bills, you know, because that's the focus as you get older. And I never thought I would be able to do it. And it's like, it's not like I'm like a well-known author or anything, but like I have a book out there like that I self-published, you know, like I'm writing books, and it's like everything to me. Like, it's making my inner child so happy. So yeah, Whitney Hansen, she's like my inspiration for real. And then the second book we're going to, or I guess the third, fourth, fifth, or whatever we're going to look at is titled The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Like, this isn't, it's not technically poetry, but I like to call it poetry. It's by Charlie Mackey, I think. And I love this book so much. It's amazing. So basically, I mean, you might have seen it on TikTok. Like these like little illustrations on TikTok. I think there's like a movie or an animation or something about this that's like basically the book, but in like video form or whatever. And it went around TikTok for a little bit, so you might have seen that. But the book is like my favorite thing because like this is the cover, like the inside of the cover, and then you open the book up and there's all these like illustrations, you know, and it's like, it's kind of like a picture book, but like, because you know there's pictures, there's some of them are colored, some of them are black and white, there's not really a lot of words per page, but like the meaning, and it's so deep, you know, like the words, like what they're getting at, what the deep meaning is, it's like, I feel like it's a good message for both kids and adults, you know, because it's very simple, but it's also there's a lot of depth to it. And I love it so much. It's honestly my favorite thing. Like, I've thought about getting a tattoo of like, you know, maybe like this or like this, like really small somewhere, like on my arm or, you know, like back of my shoulder or something. I don't know. But I love this so much. Like, this is one of my favorite books ever. Like, it's technically not poetry, but, you know, we can call it poetry. And then, lastly, I have two books that I haven't finished reading yet. I'm currently in a reading slump, and I haven't been reading. I'm currently trying to read The Diary of Anne Frank, and it's a good book. Like, and these poetry books are really good books, but, you know, you just get in those moods where it's like you don't want to read at all. And it's so sad because I love reading, but it's like sometimes it's just like such a chore. And it's like the last thing I want to do is like force myself to read when it feels like a chore, because then it's like, am I gonna lose my love for reading if I force myself to do it? It's not a good idea. So the first one of these two that I haven't finished yet, this one is Poems of the Neurodivergent Experience. So I don't know if I'm neurodivergent, honestly, but I saw these poems, like some of them like on TikTok, and I related to them so much. And so I got the book and I've been reading them, and it's like I've literally not related to anything more in my life. Like, this is literally me. And so it's like, I don't really know. Like, I've never like one hilariously like dark, like not dark, but like one like hilariously depressing thing is that like I literally wrote a whole poetry book about mental health, yet I've never gone to therapy or had anything diagnosed, at least, you know. It's like all of my issues are self-diagnosed currently, which is like, people find that controversial, but it's like, you know, it's like, do we really want to be confronted by the reality of it? And it's like, once I get diagnosed, like, isn't it going to be like on a record or something? So like everyone that like hires me everywhere I go, like it'll be like on my record or whatever. Like, I feel like it will be, right? If I get diagnosed, it might be. That car literally just like rattled my window with how loud its music was. But so it's like, I don't know. I'm in a conundrum, and it's like, I don't really, it's just an issue we're ignoring currently. So I don't even, like, I've done a little bit looking into like the meaning of neurodivergent, I guess, but like I don't know that I'm neurodivergent, but like I love this book so much. Like, I relate to it on like a deep level, and so it's just like, I don't know. I also love the font in here. Like the font is kind of like a typewriter font, and we love. It's amazing. So yes, Poems of the Neurodivergent. The words are backwards on the video because I hate the inverted filter. But yeah, I am definitely going to finish reading that soon. And the last one I want to look at is 1,000 Mornings, poems by Mary Oliver. I love these poems. One thing I love about these poems is that it's very different from the ones that I write. Like hers almost like Mary Oliver's poems, like at least in this book so far, they like tell a story kind of. They'll like have storytelling aspects to it, but it like has a meaning that like kind of that's like told through the story, I guess, you know? Like I don't know if like I think that I made that like so much more complicated than I could have. But it's very storytelling. And so I think I'm gonna read one of these. It says, "He was lying under a tree licking up the shade. 'Hello again, Fox,' I said. 'And hello to you too,' said Fox, looking up and not bounding away. 'You're not running away,' I said. 'Well, I've heard your conversation about us. News travels fast, even among foxes, as you might know or not know.' 'What conversation do you mean?' 'Some lady said to you the hunt is good for the fox, and you said, which fox?' 'Yes, I remember. She was huffed. So you're okay in my book.' 'Your book? That was in my book. That's the difference between us.' 'Yes, I agree. You fuss over life with your clever words, mulling and chewing on its meaning, while we just live it.' 'Oh, could anyone figure it out to a finality? So why spend time trying? You fuss, we live.' And he stood slowly, for he was old now, and ambled away." So, like, it tells a story, like, through a fox, and, like, I think it's, like, a boy and a fox, and it obviously, like, or not obvious, I say obviously so much, and it's, like, it's not obvious, it's, you know, not everyone loves depicting poetry, but it says, "You fuss over life with your clever words, mulling and chewing on its meaning while we just live it." And it's just like honestly, I need to do that, you know? It's like, stop, which like I am a poet, you know? So like obviously we're gonna analyze everything way too deeply, but I should honestly just stop thinking, you know? Like obviously like that's not pertaining to like bad decisions, you know? It's like, don't do anything bad, like think through your decisions, but at the same time it's like, stop thinking so much and just live, you know? Like just live your life like that. I need to very much take that advice. But I love her poems because, you know, they tell the story, you know, they tell the story of the fox and the boy, and they have like that meaning, and so it's not just like giving you the meaning, it's like leading you to the meaning, I guess. And I really want to incorporate that into my future books, like that concept. I have a story, or not a story, but like a poem that I wrote recently for my like upcoming book 2, and I didn't really tell a story, but I used characters, the tortoise, the turtle and the hare, you know the story of the tortoise and the hare or whatever. If not, you can just like look it up on Google, you know, they like have a race, and then the turtle's slow, and the hare's fast, but the hare's like, you know, taking breaks or whatever, and there's like, you know, all the meanings. The turtle wins, and it's like, you know, but I kind of used like that inspiration, but to tell like a deeper meaning, I guess. And so I'm trying to incorporate like different styles, you know, like adopt different styles into my books. But yeah, so I also want to go back to mine. So I have published, you know, my first book obviously, and I read those out on YouTube Shorts and on TikTok, and I post a little bit on Instagram. And so yeah, you can see a lot of like my poems from this book there. And if you like what you read, you know, it's on Amazon. So cute. And I've talked a little bit about my next books, and I think I'm currently like 209 pages into book 2 out of like 300, and so I only have like 100 more pages roughly to write, and then I plan on, you know, publishing book 2. So obviously I don't have a date for that. I need to stop saying but obviously I don't have a date for that because, you know, it's like we're just living, you know, don't think, just live. And so we have book 2 of mine out, but we don't have book 1, or we have book 1 out. I don't know why I said that. We have book 1 out. We don't have book 2 yet. I plan to make like, I want to make 5 like really bad, but at the same time it's like you think about it and it's like 5 books all with 300 pages. 5 times 3 is 15, so that's 1,500 poems. Am I going to be able to write 1,500 poems? I'm at like 450 right now. I'm already losing inspiration. It's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there. But that's one of my life goals, honestly. I want to get there. But anyways, yeah. So the first book I introduced is my book. The second one was Whitney Hanson's books. However, I'm only like I only have book 2 and 3 in my hand right now because book 1 is like with my sister or something. And then I have Poems of the Neurodivergent Experience, 1,000 Mornings by Mary Oliver, and then we accidentally skipped The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And so if I could recommend you any poetry-like books, it would be these. Wait, I'm gonna make them flat to make it easier to hold. So if you want any reading inspiration, these are the way to go, because these are my favorite books ever. Like, my favorite poetry books anyways. But yeah. So yeah, I hope you got some poetry reading inspiration from this video, and I hope you have an amazing day. Thanks for watching.